Trump's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said that he and his wife decided around 2005 to cut ties with Jeffrey Epstein. But the latest release shows that there was some correspondence after that, even after Epstein pleaded guilty to sex crimes in 2008. What questions do you have about Lutnick's ties to Epstein, and should he come before Congress and testify?
No, he should just resign.
Lutnick is a liar. I mean, he's a US politician, so would anyone really be surprised by that? But look, in this case, it turns out our Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, lied about something pretty big, and it's associated with the Epstein scandal. So over the weekend, Congressman Thomas Massie, a Republican, stated that Howard Lutnick should step down, and I fully agree, but I think it should go further than that. I think Howard Lutnick should be investigated because he lied to the American people about his relationship or the nature of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and also lied about when he cut off communication with Epstein. Why did he lie? Now, we'll give you all the details in a moment, but first, here's more of what Massie had to say.
I mean, there are 3 people in Great Britain that have resigned in politics. The ambassador from Great Britain to the United States, the prince lost his title for less than what we've seen Howard Lutnick lie about. Look, Howard Lutnick clearly went to the island, if we believe what's in these files. He was in business with Jeffrey Epstein, and this was many years after Jeffrey Epstein was convicted, lightly sentenced, but was convicted for sexual crimes. So he's got a lot to answer for, but really he should make life easier on the president, frankly, and just resign. If this were Great Britain, he'd already be gone.
Unfortunately, this isn't Great Britain. I never thought I would say that, but in all honesty, we've seen a lot more movement with our friends over in the UK as opposed to what we're seeing here in the US. There have been investigations or calls for investigations into Prince Andrew. There have been calls for investigations when it comes to various US politicians who have been named in the Epstein files, various Silicon Valley executives who have been named in the Epstein files. But nonetheless, Lutnick did lie to us. Lutnick and Epstein were neighbors for many years. That's not indicative of any type of criminality. So that alone doesn't incriminate Lutnick. However, last year, Lutnick stated that in 2005, so that is 3 years before Epstein pleaded guilty to trafficking a minor for sex. In 2005, Lutnick says that Epstein invited himself and his wife to visit his house. So Lutnick and his wife are gonna visit Epstein for the first time in his home. They're neighbors. Here's what Lutnick claims happened.
He invites us in, we have coffee in this, and he says, do you want a tour? We said, great.
Interesting.
He's got a really big house.
Every room you went into?
He's got, well, I'll tell you. So his house is like super big, really wide. And so he gives me a tour in the living room, big living room. And then across from it is double doors. I assume it's the dining room.
Yeah.
And he opens the doors and there's a massage table in the middle of the room.
Ooh.
And candles all around and stuff. So I ask very insightful, cutting questions. I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me.
Ooh.
And he says, and the right kind of massage.
Ooh.
Now my wife is standing here. So she looks at me and I look at her and we say, I'm sorry, we have to go. And we left.
And then they left, okay. Now what's super relevant is what Lutnick claims happened after that. Watch.
And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Oh,
so I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross.
He's gross. Does anyone, even if we didn't have the Epstein files, I would be suspicious because he sounds like he's lying, right? But you wouldn't have the confirmation. The files now give us confirmation that he's a liar. So, by the way, last week, Lutnick stated once more that he spent zero time with Epstein after that. Zero. He wouldn't even do philanthropic work with him, never. He would go into business with him, though. We'll get to that in just a minute. Now, the files do suggest otherwise, because in late 2009, Lutnick asked Epstein's assistant for Epstein's phone number. Remember, Epstein pleaded guilty as part of that sweetheart plea deal in 2008 to trafficking a minor for sex. So he's asking for Epstein's number in 2009. Fascinating, okay. It's unknown, though, if the two men spoke on the phone afterward. So we got to be fair and tell you what we know, what we don't know. Then in the spring of 2011, Epstein scheduled an appointment for drinks with Lutnick. I thought Lutnick thought Epstein was gross. What happened? The record suggests the meetings were at Epstein's home and that Lutnick left something behind there. In December of 2012, there's more, there's more. So September of 2012, Lutnick told Epstein that he and his family would be in the Caribbean. What happened? I thought it was gross. I thought you thought he was gross. Lutnick asked if they could visit Epstein during their stay. The two men scheduled a date and time for lunch. A day later, an assistant to Epstein forwarded Lutnick a message from Epstein, quote, "Nice seeing you," it said, which is evidence that they actually did in fact meet in person. Great. There's more though.
You know that moment right before you launch something new, that pit in your stomach? I remember when I started TYT, I thought to myself, what if no one watches? What if we run out of money tomorrow? It was scary. Still think about that every once in a while, but you push through, and having the right tools makes all the difference. Like when we launched Shop TYT, Shopify was a lifesaver. We used it and we loved it. If you're starting a business, those what ifs can be terrifying, and that's where Shopify comes in. What if I can't build a good looking website? Shopify has hundreds of templates to build a beautiful online store that actually matches your brand. What if people haven't heard of my brand? Shopify helps you to get the word out with easy to run email and social campaigns. What if I get stuck or have a question in the process? Their award-winning 24/7 support is there with expert advice. And the best part, that iconic purple Shop Pay button. It's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. Less abandoned carts, more sales for you. It's time to turn those what ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/TYT. Go to shopify.com/TYT. That's shopify.com/TYT.
Then you have the fall of 2015. Lutnick, who was raising money that year for Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, invited Epstein to attend a very intimate fundraising event for her at Cantor Fitzgerald's offices. Are we done though? Is that it? No, we're not done yet. There's more. So in 2017, Epstein donated to a charity event in Lutnick's honor. What happened to no philanthropic work? Not even that. He's gross. Can we cue up that video again, the gross one? Just because I love how effortlessly these goons lie to the American people. And finally, in 2018, Epstein and Lutnick corresponded through Epstein's assistant about how to thwart a construction project in their neighborhood. Not in my backyard. Lutnick wrote to Epstein, "Are you aware as to them building to block our park views? I do declare. What should we do about it? Time is of the essence." You know, when it comes to stopping a construction project, Howard Lutnick doesn't find Epstein so gross, does he? But when it comes to what he wants the American people to believe, this is what he wants you to believe.
And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again. So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross.
Except we now know that they met in person as recently as 2012 and continued corresponding as recently as 2018. 2018, of course, was when Epstein was arrested and the investigation into child sex trafficking begun. And then in August of 2019, Epstein was found dead in his jail cell, allegedly because he committed suicide, something that I personally don't believe because there are too many inconsistencies around that narrative. So this whole Epstein scandal just keeps getting weirder, and I would like for our Commerce Secretary to, yes, resign or get fired. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. He should be investigated. What were you up to at the Caribbean island? Or was it the Caribbean that he said? No, sorry. Yeah, they did go to the Caribbean. What were you up to at the Caribbean with Jeffrey Epstein? Curious. Anyway, these people have no morals. They are not driven by principles. They are driven by self-interest and greed. And they are literally willing to do business with a well-known serial child rapist and also lie to the American people about it. That's what's going on with Howard Lutnick. So yeah, I agree with Thomas Massie. In the very least, he should either be fired or resign, but I want him to be investigated. If we actually believe in justice, all of these people who are willing to play patty cakes with a child rapist should be looked into, at the very least.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.